What exactly is happening in Iran war right now? Is this escalation or choreography? On the surface, it looks like both. Behind the scenes, diplomacy is quietly gaining structure. Pakistan has stepped in as a facilitator between the United States and Iran, attempting to convert confrontation into managed bargaining. The March 29 Foreign Ministers meeting is not routine. It is part of a broader effort to align regional positions and create space for eventual US-Iran engagement. The intent is clear: test how far Tehran can be nudged toward proposals linked to Donald Trump administration, without forcing it into visible submission. The central question remains: can Iran soften without appearing to concede sovereignty? But if talks are underway, why is military pressure increasing at the same time? Because this is classic coercive diplomacy. Negotiate while tightening the screws. Washington is building up special forces and marine elements not for a large-scale invasion but for precise, time-bound actions. The likely targets are Iranian-controlled islands and critical nodes that support its leverage in the conflict space. The logic is straightforward: weaken Iran's bargaining position without triggering full war. Limited raids, symbolic control, and controlled escalation, just enough to shift the negotiating balance. At the same time, a parallel structure is emerging. Countries like Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia are exploring a consortium to manage energy flows through key waterways. This is not just logistical, it is strategic. It reduces Iran's ability to convert geography into leverage. Where does Pakistan fit? Not formally included yet, but increasingly relevant. Its role as facilitator makes it a natural bridge if this expands into a wider coalition framework. So, are we moving toward war or away from it? That depends on how these tracks intersect. The military buildup is not necessarily preparation for prolonged conflict, it is leverage for negotiations. Yet, leverage has a tendency to become action if talks stall. The presence of force creates options, and options create temptation. What about the wider geopolitical linkage? Why is Ukraine suddenly part of this story? The United States need Europe firmly aligned if negotiations with Iran collapse, especially when the Oman-backed United Nations Security Council resolution comes into play. To secure that alignment, the Donald Trump administration is accommodating European concerns by allowing Ukraine to strike Russia's oil infrastructure at extended ranges. The signal is clear: align with Washington on Iran, and differences over Ukraine can be managed. At the same time, it quietly signals Russia to step back from supporting Iran both diplomatically and operationally. And then there's Israel. Why is it taking hits? This raises an uncomfortable but important question. Are these attacks purely operational or also political? Limited strikes on Israeli territory can consolidate international sympathy and justify broader coalition backing. In modern conflict, perception shapes alignment as much as battlefield outcomes. So where does this leave us? For any agreement to emerge, one of two conditions must be met. Either both sides agree on post-war future, or one side gains enough advantage to dictate terms. Right now, neither is fully achieved. Both are only halfway there. Diplomacy exists, but without convergence. Pressure is building, but not decisive. The United States believes more coercion will yield better terms. Iran believes it can endure and negotiate from resistance. For now, the United States appear to be keeping all options open. That in itself signals something important. Washington is not prepared to roll back without extracting more than what was on the table during the Geneva talks, where partial sanctions relief and limited nuclear concessions had nearly formed a basis of agreement, but ultimately fell short of US expectations.